Good day, everyone. Welcome to my video. This is the MONSTER MOTO. This is the 80cc version, and we're going to talk about the clutch and the clutch maintenance today. I was looking on the internet, and there was just all these horrible, goofy videos and people saying the most silly things on how to lubricate the clutch. So I felt I just needed to do this and show you how to do it correctly. Now, this is the first time I've ever done it on this bike here, so come along with me. We're going to do this properly, and I'm going to give you all the details. And so let's just start off. What do you need for this operation? Well, you're going to need a few things. And I don't endorse anything. I'm not endorsing the bike or any of the things that I'm using. I'm just telling you what you need. And you can get your own brands or whatever you want to do. But you're going to need some high temperature grease. Now, I found this Lucas stuff here. It says it's rated for up to like 500 degrees Fahrenheit, around there, so I thought that was a good choice. Now, I did have some of these, but I couldn't find them, of course. Don't use them very often, but they're made for taking off little snap rings. That'll be self-explanatory once we get into it. Gonna need like a Phillips screwdriver. We'll need a 13 millimeter wrench, or a 10 mil socket. You're going to need one of each, whatever you have, whatever combination works. So, and I've chosen to wear, if you're going to wear gloves, these nitrile ones work really well. I'm just tired these days of cleaning my hands after and scrubbing them, so yeah, wearing the gloves. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get rolling here. First thing we need to do is take out this screw or bolt or whatever you want to call it, and this one here. And I'm also going to take out this one back here so we can get this chain guard off, just so you can see everything. But for sure you have to take this and this out. Now, just for a safety precaution, never work on your bike when it's running. Like, don't stick your hand in there. You know, your hand could get stuck in the chain, so you know, be careful. Don't do any work with it while it's running. So anyways, let's just take this off. This is the first piece here. When I was looking on the internet, people were saying, oh yeah, well, you just take WD-40 and spray it back in there around the clutch and it'll be good. No, you don't want to do that. And I'll explain that to you in a bit here as we go along. Once I get the pieces out here and tell you why you don't do that. Okay, so we have this loosened off. It should just slide. As I said, I haven't worked on this bike before, so it's always good. It's good to watch videos once in a while. There's actually a real bolt back here that you have to take off. The other videos, they didn't show this. So here we go. We're already way ahead of the curve. All right. And I bet there's another one down here. Yeah, look at that. When I was watching I watched a few videos just to get the basic concept down. No one mentioned about these bolts down here. Apparently it came apart magically. Not the case. But no big deal. And really what you should do, get in the habit. So there were these, this bolt, one there. Put them back in place. One there, and the one up here, and we'll set this aside. That way, you know, you don't lose things. So put everything back to where it was. Set that aside. And, well, this one, it was easy. That worked. Let's just maneuver it out of here though. Could be easier said than done. There we go. That's fine, I'll just rotate it up. I really only want, once we get into it, I'll show you there. I just want access to here. There's a pulley there, but we'll talk about that in a second. So basically, the first thing you need to do, you have to get this chain off, right? So there's an adjuster thing here, and there's also a pulley. Now, what you want to do, there's a nut here, on here. Hopefully you can see what I'm looking at here. So I've loosened this already, but loosen it out to the end, there. And then the next thing you want to do is take out this bolt, and this is the pulleys attached to there. And I'll show you that once I get it out. You'll be able to see. So on the back side, there's a nut. This one back here, it's a 13 mil. So let's go ahead, get that on there, because you have to hold that in place. And then we can remove this bolt. So that's all good. Okay, so the nut came off the back, and let's try to slip the chain over. All right. There we go. Okay, that was the bushing. So how this was together, it was like this. This was through here. This bushing was on here, and the nut was on there. So you might as well, you know, put that back together. Would have thought there was a washer on there, but no. Okay, and that's just that can just sit wherever. Take our 10 mil again. So you're gonna notice if you try to undo it, it's just gonna spin. So you need to lock that up. So I'm just gonna take a screwdriver, put it back here, and just start turning it, and it'll find a spot where it locks in place. There we go. I hope you can see all this. I think you can. There we go. That's the little guy that came out of there. Just gonna set that there for now. All right, there we go. All right, so the chain's off, and this is what it looks like when it's off. Now this, okay, so this is the clutch, and we need to take off the snap ring here. All right. Oh, I have to get my tool ready. Hang on. Okay, so here we are. We need to take this little snap ring off here. All right. Let's Just line up the little pins, the little ends there. And you actually squeeze. Trying to make it so you can see. There we go. So there's the ring. We'll set that there. So now this is going to slide apart, just like that. See, and again, I'm surprised there's not a washer. Oh, there is a washer there. So here's the washer. So I'm just going to take this, set it there. And then if I look at this, see, this feels totally dry. There's nothing on there. There's no grease on there. So that is concerning. I would suggest, if you purchased one of these bikes, that maybe take this clutch apart and deal with it now, because it doesn't look right. It looks like it's a little bit of corrosion. It looks like it's been hot. Okay, so just as a little bit of add-on info, how these clutches work. Basically, these are almost like little brake shoes, right? And they have springs in them. So when this spins, these shoes come out, and then they make contact with this outer section, and that's how the bike starts to drive. That's how it works if you're interested. And do not get any grease or lubricant, and that's why you don't spray WD-40 all over things. You don't want anything to get onto these pads. Now, I did some investigation here. I'm just going to move a little bit closer. Now, this is not critical, but one of the reasons I believe this thing was never lubricated, there's corrosion on the shaft here. Now, we're going to wipe that off, and we'll put a little very light coating of grease on there. It's not critical. This is it's called like a keyed shaft. That's what locks it in place. There's a little groove in here, so when you put it on, you line up that groove. But yeah, this is like totally corroded. This bike is pretty new, and fortunately, I haven't driven it a lot. I don't think I've caused any damage to the bushings and stuff. But that's one sign that they didn't put any grease on there. And then also looking at this piece here, this is where the washer goes on. You can see corrosion down in here where this fits on, down below. There shouldn't be any corrosion there. And again, the shaft might not show in the video, but that looks like discoloration from it getting hot, and that should not happen. Fortunately, I did do some temperature tests with an infrared at the start before I shot the video. I had it running, so we'll see if there's any change in that. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to get this greased up, and then we'll put it back together. Alright, so let's get into getting this thing greased up. So take this stuff, it comes in, you can get different sizes, but in this case, don't open this end. Just pull this cap off here. And there's a small washer here. Let's just get some lube onto this shaft. You can see this washer here. We'll just leave it on there, but let's get a little bit of lube on there. Just take a little bit on the finger. And you don't need a lot. You don't want big goops of grease on here. Just enough to cover it. Okay? So that's step one. Now this piece, again, just enough to get it covered. You don't need a lot. And then also make sure you get some down where that washer's gonna go. So there we go. And let's put that washer back on like that. And then you want to put a little bit of grease inside here. Just work that around. Okay, and again, you don't want a lot. You just want to make sure it gets covered nice. Okay, so that's looking really good. Let's wipe off my hands a bit here. Excuse me. I'll take the two pieces. Let's put them together. Voila. Now we want to get that ring put in place. Let me adjust the camera. There we go. Again, take your snap ring spreader, spread that out. You just want to make sure. Okay, if it's in place, it should kind of like rotate a little bit. That's how you know it's seated properly. So we're set there. And now let's line this up. I'll move the camera. And at this point, this should just slide on. And get the chain. There we go, chain's back on. And we'll get into the next step here. Another critical step coming up. Oh, before I do that, might as well put this in now. You know what's amazing? What just happened? A bird just shit on me. Look at that. Sitting right over me. I don't even know where it came from. Oh well. Good thing I have this. Gross. That just came out of the sky, actually. There was no bird sitting around. It just magically fell out of the sky. But anyways, let's get back to business here. So, you never know what's going to happen when you're doing videos. So this, again, to tighten it, you're going to have to put your screwdriver back here, find a spot where it catches. And it doesn't have to be super tight. Just snug it up good. There we go. Okay, so we're all set, and we'll move to the next little step here. Okay, we're on the home stretch here now. I'm getting a little excited here because I want to go driving soon, but this is the tensioner here. Now, what does this do? Basically, well, it goes in here, right? But on the other side. And if you look at the chain, see how loose it is? So this is what the tensioner does. Once we get it slid back into place, it just basically tightens up the chain. So, you know, there's less play in there so it doesn't come off of the sprockets. But we'll get that set up in there. I'll show you that in the video. It's hard to see, that's why I just wanted to show you it. It's going to fit back in here. put it underneath this chain, the bottom chain. It needs to, the bottom chain rides over top, and we'll get that put in place. And the only things that you can really do with this, not a whole lot. Just make sure that it spins nicely, spins freely, because it has a, you can't really do any maintenance on this. It has a bearing in there, as long as the bearing's good and it spins nice. And then look at the wear, make sure it's not all worn out or worn down really far. If it is, you just, you know, if it's seized up or doesn't spin, or if it's really worn, you just need to buy a new one of these. I don't think they're very expensive, but I'll set up the camera so I can work, and we'll get this put in. Okay everyone, this is like the next day here. I had to come back and look at the tensioner, or this pulley that goes here, because you remember at the start of my video that I did yesterday, when I took it apart, I said I was surprised there wasn't a washer on the back side of this tensioner, or pulley, whatever you want to call it. But guess what? There was, and it's black, and I didn't see it. It must have fallen, and so I had to take it apart because you need to have this in there. And then the other thing I discovered, because I also told you guys, you know, when you take things apart, I always like to put things back to how they were so I don't forget how it was set up. And basically, I showed you this, put the bolt in, this goes back here, and then, you know, you put it through, put the lock washer on, and then put the nut on. Now, I don't know what happened, but that's not the right way that it goes together. So this is why you watch these videos, so you don't, you can, I don't know, I'll find a problem if there's a problem. I don't know if it was put together wrong or if I got confused, but basically, when you put this on, so it goes on like, it's going to go behind and underneath the chain, right? It's going to slide up there. But this little bushing here goes on this side, not on the back side. So out front. All right? And then what we do at this point, slide it under the chain, and make sure you put the bolt through the little adjuster. So this is so important, because if you don't do it like this, the tensioner won't spin, and it's supposed to spin. And that's why I was suspicious, because it just did not feel right. It seemed very, very tight, and this is why. Okay, so now I have that in there. So let's go ahead and put the lock washer on the back and the nut. Get it started by hand. Okay. Oh, and of course, like, I disassembled it, but you know, remember to loosen this nut here all the way out, loosen that, of course, to get it out, and etc. Okay, in the back, 13 mil on the back, and a 10 on the front. So let's go ahead and get this tightened up. And as before, you don't want to really tighten this down really hard. Just get it snugged up. Okay. See, I'll try to move the camera. Before, this thing, it wouldn't even spin. And that's because it was pressed against the frame, because that bushing was on the other side. And that's not right. This needs to spin. If it's not spinning freely, you've done something wrong, or it was originally set up wrong. So let's get back to adjusting this. We'll get the chain adjusted now. Alright, so this is too loose for the chain to be. Should not move this much. Okay, so remember, we didn't super tighten this. Now as you screw this in, basically it pulls the tensioner forward, which ends up lifting up on the chain to tighten it. So that's way too loose. So let's go ahead, get this screwed in. And again, the reason I didn't tighten this is because you want it to be able to slide as we screw this. I tighten it. It's quite a pain because I took it apart again and I put that lock washer in, but it was still assembled wrong, incorrectly. So then, you know, I had to come back and now I'm doing it again. Like, it's like, there was the first time, the second time, this is the third attempt. So, hopefully I've saved someone some hassle. Okay, and this is starting to feel really good here now. Actually, you know, maybe it should move about, oh, what is that? Yeah, maybe about half an inch on each side. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. I'll put the panels back together. Oh, let's tighten this up. Let's tighten this bolt up here before I forget. So yeah, that looks good. The chain does need to move, but as I said, only about ½ inch each way. Okay, so I'm gonna just put this together. It's just the three screws, 1, 2, and then one on the back fender here. Give it a little test go, and when I'm finished, make sure the bike is off whenever you put your hands near the chain. So I'll go for a little drive, come back, and I'll just make sure that the chain is feeling, you know, nothing loosened up or anything. And we're good to go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up. Anyways, it's going to be a little bit weird in the video. As I said, I shot everything yesterday. So, alright, let's get it together and I'm going driving.